quite a few years ago, I mentioned to someone that I was writing a book, and they asked what it was about, and someone walked past and went, probably theology or something like that. And defensively I went, no, actually it isn't, and paused and went, no, it actually is. Because theology, in my opinion, is crucial. The way that we view God affects the way that we view the world, and the way that we view each other. If we view God as transcendent, as being really quite removed from this world, God as the king, the ruler who sits in heaven above and who judges from afar, then we're going to view the world very differently. If we have a more immanent perspective of God, God who is visible in the world, God whose presence can be determined in the world, God who can be experienced through the world, then we're more likely to treat the world around us and people around us very differently. So theology informs practice, and practice shows us our theology. And one of the claims in my book, which might be finished before I retire, is that the way that Judaism has framed theology in the last 2,000 years has not been a positive factor in working towards helping the environment. And particularly nowadays, many of our theological models, I think, are quite outdated. And so we need to look at how might we also look at God. How might we look at God differently, approach God differently, and still do so, and here's the kicker, still do so in an authentic Jewish way. Now, what does that mean to be authentic? It's quite difficult because, for example, every time there's a new movement that forms, it's often met with aggression, frustration, with accusations that that isn't Judaism. That's not the way we've done it in the past, therefore it's not Judaism. And then you give it a few hundred years and everyone says, yes, look, this new branch of Judaism formed and how exciting it is. So we need to ask ourselves what our theology is and how does it, in particular, help us towards protecting the earth. Because without the earth, without life, we can't exist. And so I don't mean this in a selfish way, that our theology needs to exist so that we may survive, but rather we've been given the most extraordinary gift, life itself. We know of life nowhere else in the universe. And so it is something to be celebrated. And we can find God within that earth of life, within our planet. So how do we protect it? How do we change our theology? The answer, at least part of the answer, is this Saturday afternoon. After our Shabbat Shacharit service, we have the third of my 4 sessions this year on reimagining Judaism and the environment. And you don't need to have come to the previous ones to come to this one. And so we encourage you to join us for the Torah study in the morning. The Torah portion is Balak. We'll be looking at the prayer Ma Tovu, which comes out of Bilam's mouth in the Torah portion. And what does it mean for us to start our service, our prayer service, with words that come from a non-Jewish prophet? Then we'll have our Shabbat Shacharit service, and then we'll have lunch. Bring your own brown bag lunch, and we'll have lunch, and we'll sit and study and discuss theology and the environment, and whether or not we need to change our theology or mainstream Jewish theology. I certainly feel that we do, and so I'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback. And what's wonderful about these sessions for me is I learn from members of the community, from people who come, and those thoughts help me with my book. And so you're helping me write my book as I'm helping teach at the same time. So it's actually a really lovely thing. I do encourage you to join us for that. For this evening's service, we have Aaron and Fred and myself leading the service. And next week, we have a lay-led service. And what that means is that we're inviting anyone in the community who would like to help lead prayers in English or in Hebrew. Please get in touch with me and I'll set up a schedule, a service running order based on what you might want to do. one of the things that's really important to me is that our services feel much more personal, much more connected, more true to us as a tight community. And so if you would be interested in reading a prayer in Hebrew or a prayer in English, or just a reading, if you want to bring a reading, please get in touch with me as soon as possible. And next week, I'll include you in our service running order. I think that's going to be a very exciting service. As well as tonight with Aaron, Fred and myself. And tomorrow we have so many things. Please do join us for Reimagining Judaism and the Environment. I think it's of crucial importance for us to really reassess our basic understandings of heaven and earth, of an afterlife. What does it mean for us to look forward to an afterlife that isn't connected to this earth? I think it's really challenging. We need to explore it and then hopefully really renew our Judaism, our theology, and our practice accordingly. I hope to see you over Shabbat, and I wish you Shabbat Shalom.